Welcome back, everybody, to the Paladins Minor League here. Hopped over now to North America, where we have some great matchups cooking for you guys. Congratulations again to All Business. They do lock in their spot at Placement Week for HRX. And given the recent reputation, Dave, I think of minor league teams in these major lands, it's got to be a very exciting time for them.
Yeah, I mean, they literally beat Penta, who won the MSI. It's a different look at the Penta, to be fair. It's an asterisk Penta, I think, with the big heavy hitters. Moving up to the Premier League, you could make an argument for probably anyone on the Penta lineup, but All Business, I'm very excited to kind of watch them grow over the next 2 weeks and really see where they're at, because if we've learned anything can happen. This could be a team that starts to make some upsets. Once that momentum gets rolling, it's hard to stop. Yeah,
hopefully some time to kind of breed some new strategies and stuff like that. We'll take a quick peek here at the North American standings. Now, the situation here is we already have our locked-in team. They've been locked in for a while. 9-0 coming into today, and if you'll notice, 9-1 now. Unfortunately, the boys in their glory, their revelry, staying up too late, maybe partying a little bit too hard. Did not wake up in time for their matches today, and got handed the DQ. So that's where that one loss is going to be coming from. Of course, that win does go to Exile. Like the DQ in Europe, it's a 3-0. That's how it's treated. The map differential subtracted from Hype Unit, added to the Exile one. So we do have, of course, the Sanguine FiveStack matchup. Not quite as close. Again, this region as a whole locked in, set in stone. The top team has been established. So from here on out, you look for either probably some fun matches between, like this matchup, for instance, the 2 to 4. They get to have some fun, pick some wild stuff because nothing matters. When you look at Hype Unit and All Business, for me, the thing I want to see from them is kind of fine-tuning that Plan B, that Plan C strategy, because they don't have to worry about that pressure. But this is, in my opinion, still some of the best practice they're going to have available to them until the placement week.
No, I agree, and I like the way you word that, because we've seen now that the Plan A works for these teams. So it's the next strategy, the triple DPS, the triple frontline, the less commonly played kind of compositions that maybe they start to practice. And in a matchup like this with Sanguine and FiveStack, traditionally very lopsided towards Sanguine, just practice, just get better. I mean, your Plan A may work, maybe Plan B, Plan C for you as well.
Pick a map you suck at with your Plan A, with your best foot forward strategy. There's a lot of different stuff you can do to make use of this time and to make you a better team for it. We'll take a look at the map bans here as we get into this best of 5 set. Frog Isle, Bazaar taking a seat. Sanguine get rid of Bazaar. Frog Isle gets sat down by FiveStack. Ice Mines and Ascension Peak will also be taken out of the pool. We've seen a decent map variety today, but I think Brightmarsh was one of the better drafts, I think, from All Business. I like the way that once they sort of it was a really nice kind of back and forth until that Fernando Genos pick, and there's pros and cons to anything you pick, but I like the way that they answered it with the pip. So we've already seen some kind of step up in the draft phase for the minor league as a whole, and we'll see if they can kind of continue that thought here.
And Jaguar Falls is another map kind of similarly to Brightmarsh, where, we talk about, A, B, and C, whether it's just traditional, triple frontline, triple DPS. Even, if you have a standard 2-2-1 composition, even the picks can kind of change things up. Whether it's a Bomb King, I loved seeing the Pip as well. Pip, I think, they changed Moxie a little bit. Not quite as heavy on the healing there. But I still think Pip can be sort of a game-changing champion. So I like seeing All Business kind of pivot into something like that, try something new. And that game did matter, but they're obviously feeling very confident with it. Already a Willow here for FiveStack, so a little bit different maybe from what we normally see.
Yeah, Blaster stock very, very high at the moment. Drogus is banned away. Cassie as well. Of course, still a couple of key frontliners left open. Only Makoa and Atlas out of the pool. Sanguine have their pick of the litter, and that's going to be Ash Barrick.
I don't mind the Drogo's Cassie ban. That's kind of how we've started to see this now. With Torvald being in the spot that he's in normally, if you rewind the clock like a couple of weeks, Torvald normally fills that ban slot. Now Makoa and Atlas still the big heavy hitting targets that you want to get off the table. Willow's been in that conversation as well, so FiveStack obviously see Drogos as more of a threat than Willow is, or they just want to first pick the Willow for themselves. So I don't disagree necessarily with how FiveStack started off. Getting the Willow, very impactful. Space control on this map, good. Flying up high above Ash and Barrick. When that Faith Light starts to come online, that turns team fights heavily.
It's super, super good on like a conversion point.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to be convinced, I think, a little bit for the Will. And this isn't the best kind of testing zone because FiveStack is just a little bit below, I think, in terms of caliber of Sanguine. So it's not where I'm going to draw my hard and fast conclusion. But on the point fight, there's not a lot. Like, you saw that split zone core game.
Right.
You saw what happens when Willow gets above you for a long time. The only real spot to get up above on Jaguar Falls is that tiny catwalk. Requires you to burn your only movement cooldown to get up there. And it's a little bit exposed still. Like, your irrelevant front lines are going to be doing full damage to you. Fernando, for crying out loud, could reach you up there and do damage. So you're not very safe up there. But open to be convinced as I always am, as Emoji's locked in, and it looks like it will be Khan 9th pick here.
Yeah, I guess if we talk about throwing some variety in the mix.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, is Moji still considered variety on Jaguar? I mean, I think yes, but it's like less variety than it was maybe a couple of weeks ago. Like, it's not. I'm no longer like blown back in my chair when Emoji gets picked. It's still kind of interesting because she's found success on Jaguar Falls. I mean, I think it's a map that caters to her strength relatively well. And Bomb King, another champion, I think that works here on Jag Falls. I think Sanguine got a good, standard, well-rounded draft with some fun on FiveStack's side. Yeah, they're both pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'd put Moji somewhere in the realm of like combustible Drogos on Ice Mines, or like a Zin on Ice Mines. So it's not every game, but you see it like, yep, that's gonna work here if you know how to do it. We'll see if they do know how to do it. It's still relatively niche for these guys down here in the minor league. Let's get it down to the casters for game 1.
Well, Nick, I think it's relevant no matter what map she goes on. Regardless, I'm here, Fawn. And I'm joined by Gormizer this time. Of course, Jaguar Falls are going to be here at game 1, FiveStack versus Sanguine. And I'm interested to see what these guys are going to bring out too, because the fact that Hype Unit, since they aren't here, then they're going to have to at least try and make sure that, I mean, the second place spot is going to be really, really important for them to at least try and fight out.
And it's important, I think, more to showcase how strong Sanguine is, just in general. But this is, I can already feel this one being awkward for me because I think Neo is a phenomenal Bomb King. This is a great Bomb King map. But FiveStack have Jaguar Falls. It's like the one constant they've had pretty much this split. Granted, it hasn't been a gimme every single time. Some of them have been 4-3s. But they know how to play this map pretty well. And with Emoji coming through, it seems like they're taking some notes that they've seen from the PPL as well. And depending, it's like a her versus Bomb King matchup. Whoever goes bigger is the team that wins.
Well, we already see that the first few shots, of course, are being fired on multiple different targets on FiveStack. And now this is the first aggression that we've seen, but Neo getting a little bit too excited, overextending right there. Of course, he's going to get punished by Ice Monkey. And now he's running down Stigma and Tuga. The rest of them are actually, they're just locked in this room. Thankfully, Poison's able to get a kill on Ice Monkey, but Zero is going to be able to at least finish off Stigma.
Trying to deal with Amadeus here, but Amadeus is kind of dealing with Poison, more or less. Going to get locked down there with Neo being able to respawn and come back in. But it's 84-15 now. They need some big kills, and they need them soon. Otherwise, FiveStack is just going to be able to walk away with this.
Yeah, finding the opening at least. You asked for big kills, you got them. You got rid of Matori, you got rid of Amadeus, the flank and the support. Now the percentage of Sanguine is rising, 51% already for him. Still no point capture yet. Now Sanguine are just going to be able to try to hold on to this point. A good shot from Stigma, a better bomb from Neo is going to finish off Amadeus, and Poison is going to make sure he takes care of Zero.
Ice Monkey's shield just got shredded down, melted away, and now it's going to leave them open potentially just to get, well, also shredded down and melted away. And now no one's there to contest.
Bombs are coming out from Neo. Sanguine capturing their first point on Jaguar Falls, of course. Zero stepping up a little bit too far forward. Neo's just chucking these bombs at him. DR is not going to make him any lower than half health in this case. But we already see that everyone's going to their natural spots and positioning themselves in a way that at least will be a little bit more uncomfortable for them. But a good seismic crash, but no one to follow up.
Yeah, that's the big thing. A great ult gets Neo locked down, but he was standing in such a way that no one wanted to get that aggressive to fight into him. So they were locked over there, and now the King Bomb's ready. He's going to roll right through that Dread Serpent and go on deep.
Oh, man, I can't even say the same for Sanguine. They really want to get aggressive here. We saw them be the first ones to push up, and in this case, they're going to be the first ones to actually end up capturing. But a good overpower directly on the poison. Tuga's going to take care of Neo, even though you just end up one-shotting Amadeus with that King Bomb. But they've still got a minute 40. They're going to have to back up, give him some respect, but at the same time, it's not going to really make that much of a difference for how much time is still on the clock.
And if I'm Sanguine, that's worthwhile in all of those trades. I mean, you get the Seismic Crash, and I'll throw the Dread Serpent together to deal with Neo, and neither of them really did. It was him going deep that allowed you to deal with them. And then you use the Overpower just to deal with this Ashe. They keep the Assert Dominance in the Dome Shield. They're going to charge the others back up. And with Fateflight not really finding too much, Sanguine are still in a great position with a minute left to try and break this chokehold and burn through. But again, you're going to need some kills to open the door for you. With an Assert Dominance going that deep, you're absolutely doing it.
He gets 3 stuns, finds 2 kills. There's the third one that's going to be picked up. Mutoriu already looking pretty low and has to retreat to base. The rest of his team is dead. I feel like Sanguine are going to be able to push this in literally no problem. Willow, Amadeus, Otuga, and Amadeus are the ones that are going to end up respawning, but who can really touch in time? Yeah,
no one.
No one, exactly.
I was wondering, kind of hoping someone would be there a little faster, but even if they did get down there, there's one play, and specifically Neo, who it looked like he was positioning and waiting for it to happen. If he throws out a Poppy Bomb, he just knocks you back anyway. You're not going to be able to touch. And so I think they were prepared for that contingency if needed. But big rounds from them, big damage coming down from Stigma. Baller Steve going 0011.
In 15 seconds.
Very, very good from Sanguine all around. Good fight back and good control, making sure that this Moji gets locked away as well to ensure that all the things that could slip through or maybe be good for FiveStack on this map just aren't happening. They're not meeting their win conditions.
Good ults, too, on Sanguine's side. I mean, they've got Dome Shield, they've got Enlightenment through time and space, and almost a King Bomb. FiveStack are the ones that are a little bit on the retreat here, of course. But now Sanguine, they're just going to be as aggressive as they possibly can already. With some opening shots already onto Zero. He has to use the Seismic Crash to at least get a stun, but no one else is really able to follow up. Ice Monkey and the rest of them, though. Ice Monkey and Amadeus are still in the back line. They were able to flank, but still with a grip through time and space, he's going to be able to find this mark, and they're going to find themselves at 42%.
And I will stand by it pretty much any day. I still feel like Baller Steve, even though they're the second place team, is absolutely the best minor league support right now. It's really hard to look at it just because there's so many good support players that are in the minor league, but he does so many good things. Of course, sometimes maybe he has some off games. We'll have to see how he continues the rest of the set, but it's looking good so far for Sanguine.
Definitely hard to break their defense. I mean, look at that. Poison with the double, Neo with one of them, 99%, overtime's gone, and they've got themselves a third point, and they've still got a Dome Shield on top of that.
And they're already in the base.
Yeah.
Sanguine's already up here. They're already starting to deal you down. And the cards you're drawing if you're FiveStack right now, not the ones you want to see.
Yeah.
And you're kind of getting, I want to say, bullied to the point where, like, this is typically the payload is around Neo at this point. Like, that's the only time this kind of fight happens. Where they are standing and where they are getting aggressive is definitely causing more distress. Those wily Dragon Biscuits. Gotta be able to lock them down a little more than that.
Shoulder Bash is going to be able to get rid of Ice Monkey. They used the Dome Shield just before Zero off, but with a good Void Grip, it's just focus fire damage coming out from everybody on Sanguine. They're able to take him down. Now Amadeus is in the back. He's killing because of that magical barrier. Probably took the card that actually allows him to do that. Mutoriu tries to keep him alive, but of course, here comes the Poppy Bomb, and a King Bomb combo just barely lands outside of the staircase. He was trying to go for the con right there, capitalize on that, but Grumpy Bomb is at least going to be able to get a good zone.
Well, the wall's going to be able to block it away for now, and that's going to be the big important note. Zero going down, a nice jump in space, not going to connect. But with a minute and 12 left, Sanguine are finding the kills and looking to push it in.
Dread Serpent has to be used to fear people away, but even still, Stigma's able to get the kill onto Mutoriu, and they're already looking really, really good. I mean, Sanguine already with a 1-0, but a very quick one and a very convincing one at that.
A lot that goes well for them. A lot of good control early on. I mean, even in those moments where you have a flank from Moji or maybe Khan's getting some kills, even at the beginning of that second round, they were able to get rid of Stigma. But the problem is that Stigma wasn't the win condition. Stigma was supplementary to what Neo was doing. And it was kind of that Barrack Bomb King combo. Just we'll control the point, and we will displace anything and everything in front of us to do so. made it too difficult for anyone on FiveStack to fight back.
Yeah, I mean, to harp on that fact, I mean, we also saw it with Ice Monkey and Amadeus trying to go around on the flank, trying to provide that opportunity. And in the post game, you could definitely see it. I mean, Amadeus struggled with the damage. Tuga, 59,000, but still, he was able to at least find a lot of different shots on a lot of different targets. But Sanguine is the true story here. Neo on that Bomb King, just like you were saying, Gore, and Stigma as well. The two of them playing such a huge, huge role throughout this game.
And another thing to look at, and this screen, it can show it before we get to here, Baller Steve had a 22 streak, did not die. Same thing for Vayne, did not die. But when the support isn't dying, it becomes infinitely more difficult to kill off anyone else in the team, even with the little healing that Genos can actually provide. There were a lot of good shots coming down through times and spaces, control that Baller Steve was able to provide. But it was Neo, I think, kind of being able to be the driving force, kind of the catalyst for that Luminary to apply that damage. And then Poison. There were several times, even early on, the one death he has, it was an overpower off the map.
Right.
But so many times he's going to be able to kind of do this deep dive, assert dominance into the backline, and they didn't have an answer for it.
Right, I mean, even still, you see it right here, and I guess this is just the sustainability that she can have. I believe this when the overpower hits, she tries to throw him off, but use the assert dominance right back in, and still manages to, I believe, land a stun on at least one or two of them over there. And then, of course, the slow motion the slow motion Dragon Biscuit can actually catch it into a shoulder bash kill.
And it's the weirdest thing to think, but your snacks can't outrun you. And I've said this in the past, but if that was the case for every snack, everyone would be incredibly fit all of the time. Or they wouldn't run. They just never snack. Either way, you're getting that benefit. But Moji here wasn't able to catch up to the Dragon Biscuit. Ash pops out of that one, out of the polymorph. And even though it's a few seconds of CC, it was not enough to lock her down.
Exactly. She still had the assert dominance. Sanguine still was able to get their win and their dominance shown in this case. Game 1 already in the books. Game 2 right after this break.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins minor league.
Welcome back, everybody. Blink, and you missed it. Game number 1 quickly going the way of Sanguine. A couple of fun things to watch there, I think, immediately, right? You got Neo playing the Bomb King, and last time we watched this team play, we were like, I guess it's just a coin flip, whether it's Poison or Neo that plays the King. But this time it was Poison on the tank and Neo on the King.
I blinked, so I didn't catch any of it.
Well,
Just no, it was a lot of fun to watch. Kind of some of that different dynamic. I love seeing Bomb King starting to poke back into the meta a little bit. I wouldn't say he's back. He's that top priority for a lot of teams, but on certain maps, he might be. Whether it's Stone Keep, Jaguar Falls, I think is starting to kind of come back into it. Not that he was ever really changed. Just some other champions started to take priority. But I think he's in a good spot, so I expect to see more of him over the next couple of weeks and even into HRX.
He really was. He was the king, too, man. He was very strong for a long, long while.
So he had a 100% win rate in one of the early tournaments, and whoever picked him won.
That was the
before there were
Masters
bans.
LAN 2 years ago, before there were bans. And was it? No, that was the LAN that we decided that there needs to be bans. Yeah. And everybody just picked Bomb King. And that was that, except for E69, Bugsy, Gara, Sheepa, Perdo's team, and Elven Path. Resilience was the key. They basically let you get Bomb King Maldamba and I want to say Inara, and then they just all rush Resilience, and then your comp didn't do anything.
What a dream.
That's it. I mean, that's the game, though. It's right. Oh, this character's unbeatable.
That's true.
Absolutely can't win. There's no way until you can.
Until you can. And resilience is key. Even to this day, resilience is kind of key.
Yeah.
For the Bomb King. Serpent Beach doesn't scream Bomb King to me if we're kind of continuing that thread.
It used to, dude.
It could
Poppy
be, but
Bomb used to be just the hard yeet across the map. You could clear that whole waterfall section. You go from your back line to their back line.
that's the ultimate flank.
Yeah, and you're just crushing bombs as you go, and oh man.
Yeah, not quite the same. I don't know if I don't know.
Also a
if the-
D69 specialty
Right.
for sure. That dive comp on Serpent Beach, man, that was legendary.
Not gonna be the case here. I do like Barrack to start off for Sanguine, because that's kind of been that conversation. If it's not Atlas or Makoa, Barrack,
He's so flexible.
Ash, sometimes Khan. I mean, it's those three that have sort of pivoted into that first pick conversation, depending on how the other team wants to play. But a good answer. I think Cassie's kind of a good do-it-all flexible. You point out with Barrack. I think depending on how you want to play the Cassie, build a little wrecker, and you can really start to blow up those shields. So it kind of limits maybe what Sanguine want to do on the front line for the rest. So we'll have to see what they end up picking. But I think good start from both teams.
Yeah. Khan's still available. I think I prefer Barrack over Inara usually.
Yeah.
Because you have some mobility. So you have that flexibility to flex to like a 3 DPS comp or still do fine in like a a more standard composition. Grabbing the Maeve here, vertical mobility, pretty key factor for me at the very least.
If you need help,
It's not been one of the
don't
maps we've
hesitate
seen
to
Terminus be successful on, but you never know.
It's not. I mean, it.
Again, he isn't until he is, right?
Right.
Until Zarini did it, we kind of laughed at it.
I mean, he's got a 50% win rate over a 3% pick rate. So I mean, it is the epitome, that perfect line of hit or miss. I'm not fully sold on Terminus on Serpent Beach. I think it can work, and I think what FiveStack are building around him could work. Victor makes me a little less confident in that Terminus, but in EV, some mobility. You talk about that kind of verticality, so important on this map. Both teams have a little bit, so you look for Maeve, you look for EV, whether it's on the push or on defense, to really be able to take that high ground and dive.
Yeah, I mean, 99% of Maves go for Cat Burglar. Street Justice, that execute, would pounce through Power Siphon. Khan goes through Power Siphon, Commander's Grab. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup. We have a lot of data to collect on Terminus still. He hasn't been here for a while. So let's not waste any more time up here on the desk. Let's get down and see what he can do.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'm really curious about your opinion on this Terminus pick. I mean, you got the Victor on the other side. That barrage is going to go straight through Siphon.
Yeah.
Terminus seems like he's going to have a hard time, so why try and draft him even with the Yang?
It's one of those things, again, and this is me maybe rolling back to metas of Days Forgotten, but he used to be really, really good as a point tank. I don't know if that's as much the case anymore. It's just not quite hitting there. I think even against the Maeve, like against pretty much everything on their team, it doesn't make sense. If they had waited and maybe there was a Drogoz that was picked or something, like there's definitely spots where this would have made sense for them, but it didn't. It doesn't here. And in my eyes, it just doesn't quite connect the way it was. Also think it's worth noting, and I just realized this, last game, Neo and Poison kind of switched.
Yeah.
Normally they let, like, I mean, both of them have been blasters, very prominent blasters in the past. But normally Poison's the blaster, Neo's the off tank. Last game they let them switch, now they're back kind of on their appropriate roles.
Unfortunate for Terminus. He's going to be the first one that actually goes down in this exchange. 39% for FiveStack. So it's been building, but Sanguine at the same time have been doing their thing too. They finally got onto the point. That first blood onto the Terminus, forcing them all the way back. You see him all the way back there. Another good grenade chuck. He's chucking another one. It's going to, of course, going to blow up. And then, of course, I believe he's going to end up reducing that cooldown as well. I mean, Sanguine are just in control here. You can see it.
I mean, good control all around, and yeah, Grenadier
He is taking
4
that.
right there. It's standard for every single Victor. If you're not running it, you're doing something wrong. It's just going to be able to give you a lot. And a very good barrage. That had to be tail end, like a pixel shot coming down to be able to get Tuga there. Of course, the barrage itself is so wide that it's not anywhere near as precise as the sight you have to have on them to be able to hit it. But that was just a very commanding, domineering Sanguine over FiveStack. And again, I don't think Terminus was the call. I think if you are able to, Anara, Fernando would be better here. There's a lot that controls this fight better than Terminus can.
Well, you already see it right here. Sanguine have just not stopped their aggression. Stigma, of course, peeked up at Ash just a little bit, got the shots off, and now we see that Neo on the con this time is just going to try and push him out of that high ground. Terminus is going to land right back down, but you see how low Ash is. Shoulder bashes her way out through time and space. Not going to find anyone. However, Tuga and the rest of them, they're going to be up here on this high ground. The Illusory Rift gets popped just so that they can live for a little bit longer to try and stop this push.
Going to be able to hold the high ground. Knocked off. And that should honestly make things somewhat easier for FiveStack. It's going to be difficult, especially with this amount of control on L0. He's going to get locked away in the corner there. Poison is already going big on this Mave. They need to deal with him, and they do.
Ice Monkey, though, with a nice double kill, even better assert dominance, gets kinetic burst to blow him back. A minute 10 still on the clock. Sanguine already captured their point. They still have a chance of at least being able to push this out. They've got the Dome Shield. They've got the Barrage as well. And FiveStack, they have their Resurrection for Terminus, and they've got their Ice Storm. So both of these teams sort of have their zoning ultimates. It's just a matter of will FiveStack use them at the very last seconds.
It's the amount of pressure. Zero probably in the, I'd say, most likely to use their ult column. If Tuga can continue hitting shots like that, then Vayne's going to have a much more difficult time staying alive on this barrack. It's a lot of damage coming down, but he's going to get aggressive, drop the Dome Shield, buy his team some space.
Of course, Zero is still going to be right in front of him. The Ice Storm actually gets dropped down directly on the point. Makes it a lot easier for FiveStack to be able to clean that up. Going to hold up the Siphon and just try and burst Neo all the way back. He's going to get picked off in this case. And of course, the Mave is going to be one of the only ones that's left alive. They're going to have to back up as well and give them the respect they need. Unless they just end up dying, Mave dashes in, or at least pounces in, and she's still not dead. There she is. Tuga's actually going to take her.
And without poison, it makes things a little more awkward to try and get to the Cassie, get to the Eevee. So this time around, even though I'm not going to give it full credit to the Terminus, I think him kind of being as stalwart as he was, more so Ice Monkey being as aggressive as he was, the reason FiveStack hold on to that as well as they do. Really stall this one out. Already 1 point better than they did on Jack Falls. So they'll have to see how they can continue it. But Ice Monkey is the only threat when you look at the slash line. 3-1 and 3. You do have Tuga's damage to worry about, but if you can absorb that or maybe heal it off or shrug it off, then you don't have to worry too much about that. Just the control that keeps coming down from the Ash.
Of course, 5 seconds left until the match ends up starting. Or do any of these items stand out to you other than the fact of, like, I mean, not necessarily the reason. Okay, well, not the Rezo, but the Rejuvenate doesn't really stand out as much. I mean, is there anything that's out of the norm here?
Blast Shields. And 4 Blast Shields at that. Not something I really expected. Good against Ash, good against Eevee. And so it's going to be able to make that a lot easier for them. And I believe Blast Shot as well from the Cassie. So it's going to mitigate a good chunk of damage that has admittedly, again, been the most problematic for them in the Ash and the Eevee, both of which are the first to fall.
Poison. The double kill already. I mean, he was able to get out of there pretty much scot-free, and Zero once again struggling at this point to try and find his presence on the point against the Barrack-Con duo. And of course, you got Poison Stigma doing their, they're doing their thing too. The Commander's Grab tried to go in to at least throw Ash back to prevent her from using that shoulder bash. But I mean, Poison's in such a good spot already. I mean, he's already up here. You already see that the percentage is climbing for Sanguine. The score is 1-1. With this point capture, they're already going to get rid of this tie. But good point grip, too, on top of that.
I mean, perfectly timed. Not so much to stop overtime from happening altogether, but enough to be able to keep Eevee kind of locked away. No ice block available there that time around. And that one was good if they can keep her off just a little bit longer. And she didn't touch.
I mean, yeah, she just ended up landing immediately. Barrack stepped off to give her that respect through time and space. Doesn't find its mark. Of course, was able to at least zone out a couple people from walking down that main alleyway. Poison gonna have to back off. Uses that reset to at least get the health back on that. And I mean, Neo and the rest of them, I mean, they're capturing the point once again, but FiveStack actually pulling out a superior defense right now.
Started off on the right foot. Defense has not been their issue, although with Tuga going down, it might start to become their issue, at least for the first half. They have not been able to break the base so far, saying, well, granted, they've only had one chance. And now with this payload kind of starting to move forward, starting to trickle things in the right direction, question will be what they do when they pass this chokehold right under the catwalk where Neo is standing. which is easily one of the most difficult spots to truly break through.
Keeps holding up that Cypher, but he's forced to back up. A minute 30 still on the clock. Poison is already up here, of course, and he's just going to be able to rotate as many places as he wants to. Actually catches Tuga right out of the dodge roll, but actually good overpower to prevent his teammate from dying, and they kill off Amadeus to make sure that that Mave stays alive.
Again, Ice Monkey has the most kills on the team. Tuga is probably the most threatening on the team in terms of damage. They've got a lot of good ults to be able to seal this. They use the overpower. The Midnight's available. The minute and 4 on the clock. You can easily pop that one. And that just makes it a little easier to pressure out Tuga, to pressure out Amadeus, and make them feel incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, Tuga is going to be able to at least get that first pick on the Vayne as they're pushing the payload in. 45 seconds left, and it's going to force the rest of Sanguine to back up. Baller Steve on an undying streak once again. He's in so many good spots where he hasn't really been taken advantage of. His positioning's been pretty phenomenal. Top of that, Neo, okay, good through time and space. Good idea to try and clear it out, but he's not going to be able to find a hit on anyone.
Still looking for the shots. Well, I was going to say trying to find their way up to the high ground, but Poison did it before I could actually get the words out and let my brain formulate that one. He's going to be able to get 2 kills, and that's going to open this up. If Tuga goes down here as well, then it's definitely a lot easier for Sanguine to close this one out.
Good grenade, a better burst coming out from Stigma. Now Terminus is going to revive, and of course, he's going to just end up going down immediately once again. There was no one really on his team to be able to capitalize on that, so he couldn't even really make use of that resurrection.
This is one of those awkward times where the front line in me wants to say that was an okay time to reanimate because like you need someone to body block there. But that was not a good Terminus ult. Like at the end of the day, there was no one around on your team to capitalize on anything, even if you were able to get it. You have 2 pretty massive shields when it comes down to it that are going to block the damage from your ult. And you just melted. There was no healer behind you, nothing to keep you going. So it feels like it was just kind of thrown to the wayside, lost there as Zero tossed it out. And now not having that for this round where it could genuinely be important if you die on the point. That's probably going to be one of the bigger moments here for FiveStack if they do lose.
Level 3 cauterizes all around on Sanguine's side. He's still got the blast shields, and that's pretty much all it is that they would need, especially into this Ying. The assert dominance in the back line. Void Grip, but everyone has already moved out of the way to make sure that that is not a threat to them any longer. Ball Steve is just going to make sure he gently floats his way out of there. Poison once again finds the opening kills in the beginning on this same flank. He's been opening up so many doors of opportunity for his team on Sanguine's side.
Poison, I mean, he just keeps doing it too. It's not even like a lockout. It's not like people are focusing him there, at least they're trying to. It's just not working. Yeah. I'm just so surprised that I'm seeing this guy dance around as much as he is. As a Mave, you theoretically are pretty easy to kill off, just as easy as that Eevee, but it's not doing too much for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, they had the dome shield even just still to be able to make sure that they peeled off Zero, but Terminus, man. I mean, I asked about it in the beginning because I was trying to see what their line of thought was, and it just didn't work. It just didn't find their mark. It had such a struggle throughout pretty much this entire game.
And that's kind of the big deal. I mean, you look at it, if they had drafted a Drogus, if you had waited in the draft to get that Terminus, I think you might have been able to catch Sanguine off guard with it and maybe get a good counter matchup. You picked it third, and it did not work the way a third pick on your team should ever work there. It just melted anytime it reanimated. It did, 47,000 damage. It's more than Amadeus was able to stack up. And that might be another issue to kind of key in on, is that Amadeus was not allowed to do pretty much anything on this Eevee the entire game. They had him on lock.
Yeah, Stigma on the other side, and same thing as Poison, 81,000 and 80,000 respectively, and not far off in the damages there. And Baller Steve, max streak 22, 120,000 healing. Just, you know, it was over what Matora you had, but here's the difference here, is that Steve, once again, did not die in the second game. He didn't die in Jaguar Falls, he didn't die on Serpent Beach, and that's why his healing is pretty high up there.
Yeah, being able to come through. And I believe, with that, so far trying to keep up the streak and successfully being able to keep up and undying streaks for this set. He has one more game to maybe go through. If he can go undying in that one, I have a pretty good feeling about Sanguine winning that one if he stays undying one more time. Of course, that's going to be the big question for FiveStack since they get to choose the next map. But Baller Steve has been probably, again, just one of the more prominent support players that we've seen being able to come through at an 11.0 KDA with no kills.
Yeah, what?
That's fun.
That's extremely fun. I mean, that's probably one of the best games it is the support can have. I mean, he was using those 3-time in spaces. They weren't finding any kills. At the same time, they were definitely zoning people out. They definitely were making it hard for anyone to stand anywhere, especially when you got literally poison breathing down your neck as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he won on that flank so many times. Every single round, he always took that flank.
And he was able to do so, and it's something that I guess about Baller Steve. Most of those replays around the objective, but right loadout, you're able to hit that boost, that healing anywhere you need. That Astral Mark could land on poison, enable him, even though he's running all the way around. You're just like, okay, cool, have your healing, have your damage, and go do your thing.
I mean, game 2 already done. Right after this break, though, we'll be able to see if Sanguine can close this out in game 3.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins minor league. Welcome back, gamers, to the minor league. That was a pretty nice little performance there from Sanguine. Look at just a cut above. I mean, 19-2 for Poison's Mave.
Yeah.
Another deathless game for Steve. Obviously, some ex-PPL talent there. Poison was pretty damn good. His team didn't do so well overall, but we've seen that it really puts into perspective how even the bottom teams in the PPL, how good they still are at the game when you look at the way they can run through the minor league.
I think Poison is at that caliber. I love Baller Steve, too. Baller Steve is like one of the tried and true
Killer
supports. Mustache game, you know, crank it up to 10, take it how you will. He's undying now through 2 games. He is arguably the best support in the minor league. It definitely has his name in that conversation, so always good to see him doing well. And if you look at it on a game basis, it's kind of what Fawn and Gore were saying. It's pretty simple math. You have 0 deaths on your healer. I guess maybe there's an outside chance your team loses, but the odds are very much in your favor.
Yeah, Genos, one of the safest characters in the game. Rock solid performance through 2 games. Not sure if I'm expecting anything different in game 3. We're going to head to the maps just to find out where it's going to happen. Frozen Guard.
All right.
One of the slower maps, I think. Not quite the new Ice Mines, but in terms of the 2 Frozen maps, I think this one probably takes teams longer just because of experience levels and levels of comfort on this map. Ice Mines has been traversed so many times now this season where it's just not the same map that it once was, but Frozen Guard is still niche for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like Frozen Guard and Ice Mines from Split 1 like kind of swapped, where now we're starting to see Ice Mines a little bit more. The pace actually has picked up a little bit on Ice Mines, but I feel like we don't see Frozen Guard all that often really anymore. Like on a full 4-set day, maybe you'll see it like once or twice, but it's kind of towards the bottom of that pool. Sometimes banned out, granted, but it's definitely a niche map. I was going to mention that this is somewhere where Strix works very well. They banned him out here. Not that Strix necessarily has a bad map nowadays, but I think that's a fine ban there from Sanguine. Of course, that opens up the Makoa. Interestingly enough, they're going to pivot to the Barrack Khan. So frontliners continue their importance here on Frozen Guard.
Ice Mines and Strix had the same thing happen to them.
Yes.
More people just started to get hands-on with the product and became more familiar with it and learned it and realized how strong it can be in the case of Strix, or really how bad it really isn't on Ice Mines, right? You can put that map away when you learn a thing or two about it, and teams essentially draft for the point fight. I wouldn't say that's true. I would say that's what keeps Ice Mine the most unique map in that right, where people are really just drafting for the point fight. When you draft on Frozen Guard, you kind of got to think about the offense and the defense and the payload too, because you go from this relatively cramped-ish point fight to a very, very long distance shot at conversion here. And a pick we never really get to see.
This is the prove it moment from the minor league to the console league.
I don't know about all that.
This is where the minor league can tell the console league this is why you ban out Talus. Jokes aside, I don't really know what to make of it. We rarely see Talus, of course, in the console league because he's always banned, but just never picked at all really in the PC meta. I mean, I think it has some merits, the gap closing, the flank potential. I'm not in love with the pick here. I think depending on how FiveStack play around it, it could work. Sanguine, I think, are going to have a great time on the point fight with that triple aggressive frontline composition. The Victor to help a little bit on the push. But it's not like FiveStack have a massive range advantage either. I mean, if they had a Leon or a Strix in this case, it'd be a little more nervous for Sanguine. But I think Sanguine might have the aggressiveness that win them this map.
If I had to sum it up in a sentence, I would say Talus is a nice substitute for Vivian against to break all of their shields and have that mobility. And with that, I'm going to throw it down to the casters and wait and see what this show has for us.
Now, here's a question I'm going to pose that I literally asked last time, which is, how do you feel about the Terminus again? Once again, they've picked Victor, but this time, Terminus has his friend, Makoa, with him. So I don't know. I
still think point control-wise, FiveStack are going to struggle, and that's going to be one of the things that, well, has been winning Sanguine games so far, is just their ability to control the objective better. And with Barrack once again on Vayne, he's comfortable, he's there, and I don't think he's going to have too many issues. But running a triple tank, I think, is where things get a little more awkward for them. Poison going back onto the Con, Neo on Ashe. It's just different. And with Victor there, I think it does, as a whole, eliminate the good in Terminus.
Ooh.
But I don't know how it's going to perform. A lot of it depends on Sanguine.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, we already see that Amadeus was able to get good shots and, of course, good headshots onto the Barrack, but still FiveStack are still losing this percentage lead on the point. They've got 30% on Sanguine's side. FiveStack only has 9. And this Talus is on the side with the Makoa trying to find an opening where the percentage building literally with no issue. It's hard to try and say that they have any chance whatsoever at this current point in the game.
Well, Makoa right now, well, dead. I was going to say incredibly low, can't get back into the fight. The fight came to him, and, well, the fight made sure to finalize that he wasn't going to be able to do too much. Neo has to have so much confidence in the distance of that dash. I see players do that all the time. It's hearing on Jag Falls a lot, where it's just like, if you mess up just slightly, you're going off the map. And being able to hold on to it there, looking good for everybody so far on Sanguine.
Yeah.
And once again, that's another kill onto Zero.
I mean, Stigma just right here, of course, just on the side, trying to look for anyone that might be trying to flank, and they were able to at least get some damage on a Tuga. Vayne finishes that off for him. And of course, the Talus looking for his openings as well, but he's getting run down. You can see it on the side. He's stuck between Khan and Ashe. And you already see Vayne right here is dealing with 2 people of his own. The minute 50 still on the clock. Neo's the only one that's died, but even still, the pressure that everyone on Sanguine is exuding right now is hard for FiveStack to answer.
And again, Juga was one of the bigger threats for the team last map. He's going to have to go incredibly large here. He's going to have to get a lot of kills that I just have not seen him get in a while and do a lot of damage to be able to kind of equalize this one out. I mean, the payload, that's the hardest choke point to break through because it goes into the base. And, well, with the way they're playing it, Sanguine don't seem to be having any trouble.
Well, yeah, the assert dominance up into the high ground, gets rid of Amadeus. Ice Monkey is able to at least get the kill on the Stigma. That's the second death that Sanguine has had with Poison Man. He's able to open things up by getting a kill on the Ice Monkey, and then they're following Baller Steve's Dread Surfing up with more aggression, and no one can get down to the point and touch.
Baller Steve already 200%, I guess technically infinitely more kills this game than he did last game. considering 0. Everything is up from that. So either way, 2-0-4, still Undying, 2-0-4 there for Poison as well. And then an Undying game for Vayne thus far. And Damage Tuga, top of the charts, caught up very closely by Poison, but that's the conversation. That's the question. Talus, is it worth it? Terminus, is it worth it? So far, Talus, maybe. Terminus, no. And I think that's kind of the issue with FiveStack, is they are leaning out on this, and I will actually give them credit, considering how much of the rest of the split is going to go for them. There's no chance at land. They haven't had a chance at land for weeks. I much prefer this, seeing like, let's figure this out. Does this work here? Does this not work here? How does it work here if it does work here? Let's try Talus out. We haven't seen Talus in a hot minute. And is it good enough? Yes, no. It's kind of in the middle. In the right scenarios, he is absolutely dominating.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw right there. He was able to at least melt Poison a considerable amount. Of course, Domeshu was going to go directly on the point, and this is where Sanguine has been for these past several games. It's just here, on the point. 45% to the now gaining 15% for FiveStack. They have the comeback mechanic, but a good ultimate from Amadeus almost kills him, but it's not going to be enough to actually net that kill.
So far, 70-45, but they're starting to get displaced. That overpower is going to connect. It's going to get a kill onto the support now. FiveStack, they have to fight without the healer.
Amadeus trying to go around on the side to at least put some more pressure on the Stigma, but Stigma just turned, shot him, and what else can you do about that one? The grenade gets tossed out to where Tuga is standing. And of course, the Resurrection comes out as well, just to try and clear out that point, but they're just going to be right back on it. He unloads a fully charged Siphon, or at least the Calamity Burst, directly into Khan. But he's just unshaken. He's not shook at all because Sanguine just got their 3rd point.
Yeah, that just turns into a retreat and then, well, technically a zone coming down from Sanguine. Very good kills. That healing, not even enough for Amadeus when he teleports back. So I'd say biggest impression from FiveStack, the thing that was the most impressive, is the fact that Makoa Ice Monkey did not die when he got incredibly low there, but now he is kind of locked in an awkward position. We'll be able to make it to the base. And this is a push right now that is still barely just getting, not even halfway. It's not even come under the first archway right now, and that's how much Sanguine have this aggression.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they have to use the Inflame at least on the last 2 remaining members of Sanguine. The point's pushing, but they've got a minute 45. Sanguine have so much time to be able to at least try and not only touch, but be able to push it in. And I mean, they've got the Barrage, they've got the Dread Serpent, and now they just gained Overpower. Here comes the Dread Serpent to fear L0 forward, and they've already dealt with him. Now they're just going to be able to do what they've been doing and push the payload.
And with Baller Steve playing the way he is and the way he has, a good stun coming down from him, good damage coming down from him as well. I mean, for Maldamba, it's 12,000, but that's 12,000 damage, and yeah, I would argue maybe 6,000 more than you expect to see out of Maldamba in any given game. He's just being able to hit it, and he's actually having a pretty decent impact on a lot of these kills. Being able to kind of set this up. Has his Nibble 2, has his Chronos 2 as well. Might not have time to be able to buy anymore with the 400 credits that he's allotted, because they're still marching this one forward. It's about to break base.
Yeah, Amadeus is able to at least get that kill on that backline. Victor, they're just going to try and move up and try and at least converge onto the Ashe, onto the Barrack. They're able to get Ashe. They're not able to get Barrack, and they're still trying to chase them down as much as they possibly can. They've got the ultimate for Talus as well. They've got Scout. They almost have Ancient Rage. They almost have the Revive, or the Resurrection backup as well, and they've got Inflame. So FiveStack are about to be sitting on 5 ultimates total, and Sanguine really only has 2, but they're 2 of some of the strongest ultimates that Sanguine could have, other than just the Overpower and the Dread Serpent that are coming up. I mean, they've still got plenty of time.
And they do still have time to touch. But I think a lot of their ability to win depends on Victor and how alive he is, you know, given any amount of time. Stigma is going to be big, good, well, not stunned there since a good CC immune Scout comes out in time. But they're getting aggressive. They're in overtime, and Sanguine are looking to close it.
Yeah, the Inflame actually ends up being used defensively. Poison's the first one to go down, though, so that's going to be pretty big. They're trying to converge onto Baller Steve. They're trying to converge onto the Maldamba and the Victor. They get the Maldamba. Victor's able to at least finish off Ice Monkey, but at this point, they still got the Barrage. They still got quite a few things they could be using, but they're not going to use them. They're going to opt not to in this case, and they still got plenty of resources to at least be able to carry over into the next round.
Holding on to it. Like you said, Barrage, soon enough Overpower is going to be up, but a lot that, well, isn't there for Sanguine coming into this round. It's going to be maybe more important to keep things going. That just reminds me, I've had games like that where you are the stigma, right? Where you're the one that's like, well, you know, everyone else is getting aggressive. I guess I'll push the payloads.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing that could win us the game. And either, you know, doing a dance as Stigma, maybe you're dancing around as Barrick, or maybe you have Makoa and you're break dancing around on top of the payload. Either way, dancing the payload forward is a 10 out of 10 style play. And so even if Sanguine ultimately lose this map, thanks to comeback mechanic and maybe some really, really good turnaround from FiveStack, I think they win in terms of style. And so fashion points, they go up by 15. I'm pretty sure that gives them a whole win in everyone's hearts.
9% already for Sanguine with an Amadeus ultimate coming in soon. And of course, they're just going to be able to go all the way around on the flank, but they may have actually mispositioned themselves. The Barrage is going to take care of Ice Monkey. They still got that resurrection, which is good. But Stigma, Vayne, 54% on the point already and steadily climbing. This could be it for Sanguine already.
I mean, all they have to do is stay alive here, and so far they're doing that pretty well. Double kill for Stigma. Going to be able to open the door. Nice grenade, followed up by a second one. Going to be able to help clean up Muto. And if he gets that one, that's essentially 4 kills that he was impactful for.
Ice Monkey's just sitting on the point, and that's all it is that he can do at this very last second. This is going to be it. Sanguine are just going to end up taking this game, unable to actually try and contest against FiveStack. Very, very dominating throughout the set.
Really, really good Frozen Guard as well. I mean, they knew what they wanted. They drafted what they wanted. They controlled the way they wanted. And the only time that I feel like they truly fell apart was that one defense. But admittedly, Frozen Guard. Hard to push, very easy to defend. Well, easier to defend than some of the other maps because of the way it's laid out. And they were still able to convert it at least once, which is huge for this map.
Yeah, I mean, a clean 3-0 for Sanguine Esports right there. I mean, at the same time, the tournament was locked in once again. I'd already brought it up. I'm not going to harp on it too much because you made a good point.
Yeah.
It's at this point, they don't have a chance at land, so they're just like, why don't we just try out some other stuff and just see what's working, what's not, so I can entirely give them credit for that.
I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
I loved the Talus, actually. I think he looked pretty good here. 51,000. So, I mean, granted, considering it was a 4-1, considering how much time he had alive, that's not bad. I mean, not top on his team. Cassie was able to kind of pull far above and beyond. But there's still, like, in my mind, there's a place for Torvald, and I think Talus can be at his side. I think the two Ts could go together there. And I honestly, if you slot out 0 here for a Torvald, and instead of having him play point, have him play kind of that second support, that might be a little more interesting of a fight and maybe something more worthwhile looking into to see how much damage Talus can do. That does kind of put priority onto what your win condition is. It is this guy do really well, but he got locked down, and that's kind of the end of the day. 0 couldn't do much. Ice Monkey definitely couldn't do much. And Amadeus could only do so much with that space that he wasn't really given.
And then, of course, Stigma being some of the sole reason as to why they couldn't do what they wanted to do. Of course, you see the Barrage right there, goes over the siphon, goes right into the sort of quote-unquote dome shield that Makoa has in this case. And I mean, this is just the power of victors. They locked it in twice against the Terminus because of the fact that Barrage can just go right over it. And that's why he can struggle. That's why it's sort of a problem. The triple front line ended up working out, but it also had a very, very huge role that Stigma played on this victory.
Baller Steve technically got that kill, but in my heart it was Stigma. Also, unfortunately for Baller Steve, did not end it undying.
Yeah,
I think he got, what, 1 or 2 towards the very end there?
2.
So, 2 deaths out of 3 games. I don't know. I think you can cut it a little better, Baller Steve. No, it was fantastic from him.
Yeah.
2 undying games into the one where he dies twice as a Moldamba. Very, very difficult to accomplish, I think, as a support. So very impressive to have him pull that off and look that good throughout this entire set.
Agreed. Very impressive on Sanguine's side to be able to pull out that 3-0 as well against FiveStack. However, that's all the games that we have for you guys today. We're going to throw it right back to the desk to close this out.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Great job on the call down there in Frozen Guard. Sanguine, congratulations to them. They managed to close this one out 3-0. But obviously want to, commend FiveStack for the fun show they still put on. Showing up. Big part of today, guys. Not everybody was able to get there, but you were, FiveStack. So thank you for coming through, playing the games. I know that can be pretty difficult at times.
That's right.
To have to, get out of bed and sit down at your computer and play a video game.
I'm exhausted just listening
for
to you talk about
money.
it.
It's like,
You
it's
kidding
tough.
me?
It is not an easy
Sounds
thing.
horrific.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Tough stuff.
I certainly
here.
don't want to sit down and talk about games.
I got
Just
bad
kidding.
news for you, Dave.
Oh no! Oh no!
So this job,
This job is no easier than that. That's not good.
all jokes aside, though, guys, pretty fun day. You know, some of those games being a little bit higher octane than others for sure.
Yeah.
But like seeing the Talus, the Terminus as
Yeah.
well. That does wrap up North America. We'll take a quick look here at the North American standings just to get you all kind of situated here. Here's the kind of shakeout. This is pretty much how things are going to be. We have just 2 weeks left of competition, so I guess hypothetically if Sanguine lost out and Exile won out, there could be some funny business going on there. But Hype Unit are locked in for their spot at LAN up there at 9-1. Of course, we did have Europe as well today, Dave, and we had our representative locked in there as well.
That's right. All Business now 3 wins separating them from the second place team with 2 weeks left to go. So All Business could lose out 3-0 both games if they wanted to, and there's no catching up from either Sour Team or Penta. And you know, I don't know a lot of the background, so I don't want to dive too deep into it, but with the, you know, Sour Team, you know, forfeit or DQ, whatever that was this morning, that technically knocked them out of contention. They would have been, in theory, with a win over One Trick Pony, 2 wins outside of first, and then maybe some stuff can swap around. I mean, you're relying on a lot. I mean, the way All Business had performed, that map differential was so wide. I mean, you're relying on them losing like 3-0 in their games and you trying to catch up. So in reality, I don't think it changes much, but what it does do is allows All Business to lock in their spot today.
Puts that foot down, man, and makes sure that these things are going to be happening. The balls have been rolling now. Everything is set in motion. Let's take a quick look. Like I mentioned, we still have a couple of weeks left here in the minor league of competition. So next week we will see Penta versus Sour Team. That's always a great one. All Business versus One Trick Pony. Sanguine Hype Unit, the 1 versus the 2. A lot of smack talk in that matchups, and I think that matchup, given they show up, is going to be a lot of fun to watch, man. These guys, with nothing to lose, they're going to go to some wacky stuff. They're going to be trying to style on each other. I honestly have pretty high hopes for that matchup. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
I agree. I expect the same from between those two teams. And again, although it doesn't matter, you look at the Penta Sour Team matchup, and that truly is for that second place spot. They're both at 5-5 right now, so whoever wins and loses, they kind of one up each other. So if nothing else but for bragging rights, you know, you finished second place in that region. But honestly, the games on that slate, it's easy to kind of have things start to slip away a little bit once teams are locked in. But I still think that there's enough excitement coming in our next week matchups.
For sure. Don't want to miss it. Definitely some fun matchups in store for you guys with not a lot to lose, right? You're looking at those teams to get a little bit stylistic, have a little bit of fun with it when it's all said and done. Only a couple weeks left here in the minor league, only a couple weeks left in the console and the Premier Leagues as well. Make sure you're tuning in for all the action to learn who's going to be at that placement week. That does it here for the minor league broadcast, though, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today. From me, from Dave, Fawn, Gormizer, production, and everyone else here at Skillshot Media, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday. Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Minor League.
We're here live from Atlanta. The players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's second place, I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.
When I'm near you, reading old messages on my phone every time I